Is it muted?
Now mute works. It didn't work last time.
Well, it wasn't working in the headphones, only working on the output.
Stop making sense.
Moot point, an issue which no satisfactory answer is found.
This is all a moot point.
The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf! Ma, the meatloaf!
Like a cow's opinion.
I've had it with this dump! Got no food, got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
This is all a moot point. Doesn't matter.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Moot Points podcast.
Wow, it's like you entered that like story time at a library.
Yeah, story time with Clown Guy. Hello, children.
Oh, you know what? It's funny.
Welcome to the Creepy Podcast
It's
show.
funny that you bring up clowns because that is a tease ahead to me talking about one of the worst shows I've ever done. And much like the second show that's bad that I've done before that, my mom set it up. So we'll get to that later in the show.
Seems like you would have learned your lesson letting mom set shows up for you.
I can't learn the lesson. She doesn't give me the option of saying no to it. She's just like the booking agent who's like, surprise! Got you a show.
I bailed on the trip, partly because I had auditions and I was busy and things were going on, partly because I felt like that was a recipe for disaster. And I was maybe going to do some jokes, and I didn't have any jokes. So
I got plenty of cancer jokes.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're funny or not.
Oh, they're funny. Oh, I mean, maybe they're a little bit too real. Too real, Pat. Too real.
I mean,
too real for everybody.
It's my experience, okay? It's my experience.
It's my perspective. Did you say this in the Moot Points podcast yet, or no? Or
I did. I think I said it's a Moot Points podcast.
I think you said it was like Clown Story Time.
Whatever. Clown Story Time with the Moot Points podcast.
Moot
I'm
Points
your host,
podcast.
Patrick Moot. I'm here today, as always, with Brian Moot.
Hey, everybody.
My big brother.
Welcome to Clown Story Time.
Welcome to...
Where do we want to start today?
I actually have some music for
Where do we want to start today? We want to start with Mystery Weekend
Yeah.
on Whidbey Island.
Yeah, Clown Story Time, Brian. Tell me, did you figure out who the killer was?
I did not, because I didn't have time to wait for the toxicology reports on Sunday.
Well, you actually explain this in terms of people who are potentially looking for some dumb, nerdy shit like this to do.
Yeah.
How much fun would it be for them?
If you are into this kind of nerdy, like, Clue,
So
but I
set
want to
the
play
whole
it live.
scene.
I will.
Set the
it's
whole
for
scene.
you. But, actually, to be fair, I think it's for everybody. It just, your level of commitment to the crime reflects, like, how much it is for you. So, all right, Langley Washington. It's their 35th year doing it.
That's crazy.
Langley Mystery Weekend.
They started in 83.
They start Saturday at 10 a.m. There's a murder. There's a crime scene. Well, it might be a murder. They don't know what it is. So this one was called Killing Time. And at 10 a.m., they start the whole Mystery Weekend, and it ends at 5 o'clock on Sunday in the middle school auditorium. And they tell you who the perpetrator of the crime was. So we got up to Langley, my girlfriend and I, met up with my godson, Ray. Well, I can say this, our godson. Typical mom fashion, my mother is very good at this, decided to bail on all of the festivities on Saturday.
She disappeared?
She disappeared. Is she a suspect?
She ghosted.
Very conveniently absent at the time of the crime. Now, Mom, where are you? I would like an alibi.
Yeah, Mom did it.
She was cooking coffee cakes for a show, nonprofit fundraiser show that she booked for me, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Which was a crime all of its own.
A lot of crimes were committed on stage. Most of them just bad comedy to kids. Anyways. Actually, I feel like I did a great job. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Murder Mystery Weekend. Build a little bit of tension. So we got there on Saturday. Dude, it was packed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Langley
That's what Jess said.
You could not. So the small town of Langley on Whidbey Island on the south end, it is a town of about, I'd say in the city limits, maybe 1,500. You think 1,000 people?
I know at the south
It's
end
small.
total, it's like 60,000.
No, but I'm just saying, city limits of Langley.
City limits.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's a
south end
couple.
of the
It's a
island
few,
is,
couple thousand.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
it's
couple
tiny.
thousand. It's
It's
small.
got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Street, basically.
Yeah, and it's a lot of space too, to be completely honest.
So the downtown area is very walkable and very small. And the murder happens at 10. You go down there, you sign up, you get your book. It's got a little bit of the backstory. The backstory about this was a Dr. Brown who was making a time machine with some science kids. And mysteriously, people like Bernardo da Vinci, the cousin of Leonardo da Vinci, Otto Einstein, the brother of Albert Einstein, were mysteriously just appeared in Langley. So basically, this guy was like perfect. This guy built a time machine and was bringing people back from time. So there's these characters.
Wow, this is wild.
Super wild. But the funny part was is that they'd have people in the town who were characters brought back in time, right? Like, so they had a wizard, Merlin the Wizard.
Oh, no shit.
Little King Arthur was a kid. They had this pirate. They had the captain of the Titanic.
I acted in this when I was a kid. I remember I was like a newsboy who
Yeah.
like saw something, like some like homeless kid who saw something. Like, yeah, come here down the aisle and I'll alley and I'll show you what I saw.
So there's people dressed up like a pirate. And here's the funny part. Langley's such a weird hippie town. Some of the people are dressed so weird anyway that I walked by this one guy and I was like,
what clue you got?
I did. I sent Rayler up. I was like, Ray, and he goes, am I supposed to interview? And the guy's like, about what? And we're like, never mind, bail, abort. That guy just looks like a pirate.
There's just a pirate.
Just wearing a bunch of weird clothes. So
that's on you, pirate.
Here's the thing. You're supposed to go. There's 39 clues. You go to all these different businesses. It's a cool thing for the town because it gets you to know there's a gem shop
It's like
in Langley.
It's like a 2-day game of Clue for adults because you can stop at all the local bars and stuff and have a drink and like
stop. We never really. We just got the clues and sat at a bar.
Yeah, perfect.
So, but here's the thing that's funny.
That's actually like a stakeout.
It gets you to go to all the weird little shops and things and antique shops. I am convinced that every store in Langley, Washington is a front to launder money for drug smugglers from Canada. Because there's a gem shop. There's a yarn shop.
Hot take.
A yarn shop. I said that on stage, actually.
Jesus.
I said it was a front for laundering money. The entire
Have you guys
town.
seen the show Ozark? It's just like that.
In 2019, there is a yarn shop that seems to be doing just dandy. And it's not fancy yarn. It's just yarn.
Yeah, and I think those spots downtown aren't super cheap. That said,
It's First Street in Langley. It's
I
like
used
a
to
little
work at the Doghouse down there.
Doghouse is all boarded up right now.
I
You can
know,
stab.
but
They're remodeling
the fact that it was open when I worked there, my boss was 17 and a half. He was a senior in high school.
And you were a sophomore?
I was a freshman. I was even younger than that. Andy DeVold was my boss. He was older than me by like 3 months.
So, anyways, you get to go around the town. We basically just end up at the Village Pizzeria, ate pizza, drank beer. We got all the clues. Here's where we went wrong. I'm not really trying to interview these weirdos in character. I hate people who are in character.
I can't.
I hate it.
Stand people who are in character.
who stay in character. Like I don't like. They had this guy Bernardo da Vinci.
Just know when to break in and out of it. But in general,
No, they can't. They have to stay in character.
I went to Medieval Times recently, and the night that we were rooting for, like I took one of the little boys that we were with. I took him up to meet the knight, and the knight was like super cool to the kid in character, and then looked up at me and was like, "Hey man, if you want to go grab beer over there," and I was like, "Nice."
Yeah, that's how you do it.
That's how you do it, Green Knight.
You don't go,
Well
hello,
played.
fine sir. Would
Oh.
you like? You're looking for a goblet of frosty ale?
I'd be like, "Stop talking down to me. You sound condescending." I don't
Walk
like
over
this.
to the wenches
Yeah,
that
I don't
serve
like
the
your.
bar.
I don't like your tone, Sir Green
Yeah.
Butt.
Well, yeah, you would say green ass, but
But there's kids.
but he's got a sword.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
not
know.
very sharp, but he's still got a sword. So,
Captain
anyways, these guys are
Green
in.
Fanny.
These guys are in character, and it's just uncomfortable. And Rayler, the 12-year-old, our godson, he wasn't comfortable doing it either. So we couldn't interview anybody. We had all these suspects, and we'd see him walking around town. Alan Wrench, I saw him walking around town. He had a motive. He didn't believe that time travel should be a thing. He thought it was dangerous. So he might have killed the guy, right? So, anyways, the Bernardo da Vinci guy was like Leonardo da Vinci's cousin and an artist, and he'd be like, "Come see me do art. I'm doing an art, like blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh my god,
that sounds so annoying."
I want to no way."
See, that said, if you put me in the right situation, like down in that situation, and all those people have really committed, I'll get into it. And I actually think all the people that I tell, especially couples that I tell about this, that goes on Woodby Island, they're like, "I want to do that next year. Let's make sure we do that next year."
It's super elaborate.
If we got a whole crew out there next year to do the
Mom
murder
has a
mystery
whole
weekend,
plan for it, and you guys are all invited. Murder Mystery Weekend in Langley, February 2020. My mom's doing a 4-day extravaganza. We're all going to be staying at houses up there. She wants us there Friday to Monday. She's not messing around next year. She decides she's
you
gonna...
think the characters that they have in the streets are annoying? We're going to come in hot.
Wait till my mom does a 4-day festival around it. The Festival of Mystery.
They call me St. Patty Flatfoot. I come from Boston.
You know, there's no way she's not on Friday night going to be like, "Guys, guess what? I need you guys to make sure you fly in early on Friday because we're going to have a clue tournament. Warm up for the murder
I would
mysteries."
be so into that.
This
actually sounds like a really fun thing to do.
It was a blast, man. We had a good time. We narrowed it down to 2 people. Here's the problem: the coroner's report came out on Friday or Saturday at noon. So nerdy. And it showed us that, the guy might have been stabbed, but he also wasn't bleeding very much. He could have been poisoned by one of the witches that were brought back in time. So it came down to two suspects. This witch named Lucira, who could poison people, and this dude Alan Wrench, who might have stabbed him with a board.
Alan Wrench sounds dirty.
But guess what?
He's a troublemaker.
We didn't know that toxicology came back. I picked Alan Wrench because the guy was
poisoned?
stabbed with a board. They didn't know yet.
Maybe
they
there
just
was
knew he wasn't
poison on the nail?
He wasn't bleeding very much from the stab wound. So they thought he might have been poisoned. Toxicology came out at 3 o'clock on Sunday, but we were already gone. Turns out it was Elizabeth Howe, another witch that was brought back, who was
This
Googling
dude bringing back all
poison,
these witches.
who was looking at poison roots, and her motive, Pat?
The witch Googled poison?
No, she didn't Google poison. she went to some herb shop and was asking about some root or whatever. But here's the kicker: her motive to kill the scientist was that she read in the history books that she was burned at the stake, and she was like, "Hell, if I'm going back in time," because the scientists had threatened to take them all back, and she was like, "Y'all can suck that." Dr. Brown, Elizabeth Howe, the witch from the 1600s, is here to stay. So
How?
she poisoned his ass.
Man.
So we did not win.
It's all right. Can't win them all.
Jessica came the closest. She got frustrated by the end of it. Was just like, we had to get out of there. And we had to fly back to LA on Sunday.
Yeah. 4-day extravaganza, that's the way to do it.
I mean, leaving on Sundays is such a pain in the ass.
Sure.
All right.
What do we got?
Well, I got at that show I did.
What show? Oh.
What do you got?
Right.
By the way, what do you got?
Nothing. I'm just trying to figure out what music would be good for this, but we'll play a little rock star.
Comedy music?
Yeah.
It's not a rock star show. Worst show I've ever done. Well, maybe not. I was set up to not do good. And I think I did good given the circumstances. So my mom has some very good friends, Mary Lou and Joe, and they have a nonprofit organization called the Learning Lab. And it's in our old middle school home ec and shop classes. And basically they just help kids who are at risk learn how to cook, learn how to build things, learn how to fix things. Life skills. Things that, if they don't get out of high school, maybe they need to know how to fix their own houses.
Preach.
Right? And cook and clean and balance a checkbook. So my mom had a great idea. Why don't you do a fundraiser show at the middle school auditorium? Why don't you do a fundraiser show on the Saturday of Murder Mystery Weekend? So I said, okay. Then she said, how about this, Brian? Before the show, why don't you do a 30-minute workshop with a bunch of kids?
Sounds like a bad idea.
No, I don't mind that, actually, to be honest. Because I wouldn't have minded at, I don't know, like 7th grade, if some comedian who graduated from our high school and was working in radio in Los Angeles, they came back to school and were like, hey, dude, I know your world seems so small right now because you live on a friggin' island and your town has mystery weekends.
Well executed murder mystery weekends.
Bunch of nerd stuff. You can be cool. You can be there's things you can do. Anyways.
Yeah.
My point was like, I'll tell these kids just don't stop being creative. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you all you can be comics because none of you can. You're probably not funny, any of you. I mean, statistically speaking, come on.
Statistically speaking, they don't listen to this podcast either, so we can say whatever we want.
Let's be serious.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
you live on Whidbey Island. You're probably not that funny. You're just a kid.
I'm
Odds
probably
are
the
good.
only stand-up comedian to ever come out of Whidbey Island for the foreseeable future.
I can't
like
come
touring,
up with
like professional stand-up comedian.
I can't come up with a.
Because who else? I mean, it's
The
not.
only other person that anyone could argue would be me, but my shenanigans aren't stand-up.
But you bailed on a show because you weren't sure if your jokes were funny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
anyways.
right, Brian. I'm also a stickler for quality.
So Saturday was kind of set up to be a fail in general. We did the murder tour thing all day, and we were drinking beer at the pizzeria, and then we went back to we couldn't check into the hotel room we were staying at, which is down on the water in Langley. Really pretty place. The Boatyard Inn. If you're ever on Whidbey, go check it out. We were right on the water. There was a seal swimming around out in front. It was pretty cool. But we fell asleep, taking naps. We all took a nap. And then I woke up with 5 minutes to 6 p.m. And I busted up the hill, threw a hat on.
What time did the show start? 6?
The show was supposed to start at 7. The workshop was supposed to start at 6. Here's the problem, and here's where it started off wrong. The flyer just said 6 to 8. But parents of kids who'd signed up for the workshop knew there was a workshop at 6, but everyone else just thought the show started at 6. So like 200 people showed up at 6 o'clock. So this workshop went from me working with like 12 kids about stand-up to like an auditorium full of people and me sitting there fielding questions about stand-up and having kids come up and tell knock-knock jokes. Thank God. I mean, thank God it went okay, but I've never I didn't have any opening act. So it's just kind of like, hey, Brian's going to talk about stand-up. I didn't you were supposed to go and you bailed. So it's just so weird because you don't expect it. Like, I know the show hasn't started, but the show has started. If you're doing a Q&A, like
and you've got a bunch of rowdy little kids.
Oh my God, these kids were obnoxious. And then I'm like, yeah, if you want to come up on stage, tell a joke. So I had about 7 or 8 kids come up, tell knock-knock jokes. And was trying to like tell them about comedy. It just was like a really poorly thought out event. And it's all because Mom was showing people around the learning lab that were coming in. And nobody was just like, they were all taking tickets. But they were like, go ahead on the auditorium. That was not the idea. The idea was that the kids would be in there only.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to like make kids come up here and tell jokes. So a lot of kids that signed up were like, hell no, I'm not doing that. So then I did all that. And then I took like a 5-minute or like a 3-minute break to walk outside and just take a deep breath and be like, God, what the hell did she get me into? And these kids, then I start the show. And now I'm doing an all ages stand-up show for 55 minutes.
Which was also not supposed to be what was happening. I'm so glad I wasn't there for that because I would have F-bombed immediately. I would have been like, look at all these fucking kids. And then that would have been that.
I mean, F-bombs were happening internally.
I'm sure. Fuck mom. Fuck mom.
I had a bunch of kids. And then but here's the problem. You have a bunch of kids involved in the show during a workshop. Then those kids just think they're part of the show the whole time. So I was being heckled by 9-year-olds. And the thing about being heckled by 9-year-olds is you can't fire back at them. You just have to take it. You just have to be like, they'll be like, dude, you're a clown. And you'd be like, ha 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 ha, it's real funny. Yeah. Speaking of clowns, and they try to make a joke out of it.
Your parents can't afford to send you to college.
Yeah, you can't afford.
How about that?
You can't actually just come at them and yell back like you would at a comedy club. So it was exhausting. I think I'm still tired and surly and annoyed because of the show on Saturday.
You sound a little surly and annoyed.
Well, there's a number of reasons for that.
I thought it was me.
No, you're fine. Except you're not giving me a whole lot right now, except you're pushing buttons.
I'm setting up some stuff.
Oh, you got some stuff.
I'm producing
Coming up next, Pat has some stuff.
Yeah, I got some
Anyways, everybody said the show went great. I think I made it pretty clear that it was really a difficult thing to do, to have everyone hanging around, like all these kids just hanging in there, and like some of them were just laying on the floor like they were so bored, and I was like, God, get these kids out of here. Really, but we raised some money for the learning lab, and that's the important part. It's not all about me all the time. So blah blah boo hoo.
So blah 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 blah.
Coming up next, Pat's segment.
What's my segment?
I don't know. You got something?
I don't know if I have.
What?
Yeah, I got something actually.
You got updates?
I got something big. I got a big update.
Well, what's your big update?
Well, the update is that you and I are walking the LA Marathon at the end of March. So we have, February's a short month, so we're almost,
yeah, man, it's about,
we got 2 days left.
3.5 weeks away.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like 3.5 weeks away, and we haven't raised any money.
No money at all?
No money. Raised no money. We have not raised any.
I thought we raised a little bit today.
No, we didn't. Well, yeah, we did.
Okay,
we raised like $130.
Don't be a liar. Don't be a liar,
but we need to raise at least $1,500, and I think we can do better than that.
Why do we have to do that?
Because that's part of our agreement and team, as part of team determination.
All right, team determination.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
$750 a piece, really.
All right, well.
We could make it a race.
You better get on it. Yeah, let's make it a race. Let's see if you can beat me.
Okay.
Good luck. You got a head start already. I hope I don't lose.
I think so far we've both donated.
We did?
I donated for both of us.
Oh,
so that should go both towards me. I donate. I built your account. I wrote out your profile.
Thanks,
I got us made onto a team.
Good.
I feel like I'm pulling us.
Yeah,
Is this how the whole thing's going to be? I'm going to drag you in a wagon all the way to Santa Monica?
Yeah, ideally.
From Dodger Stadium to Santa Monica.
Are you still planning? Are you going to try to walk the entire thing? Because I feel like that's not going to happen.
We're going to walk the entire thing.
All 26.2 miles?
No, not the whole thing. No, we're doing the 13. We're doing the half. Yeah.
I feel like we could almost do the whole. We did 12 or 14 the other day.
We knocked that out. I ran 5 miles yesterday. Like
why don't
straight
we try
up in a row.
Thing? We just have to leave at like 4.
My oncologist just said,
blame your oncologist. What did we talk about when you can stop? When you have to stop using the C card, the cancer card?
When my port comes out.
All right, when is that at?
I'm going to push it as long as I can.
So, all right.
I got kicked off disability already. I mean, they literally were like, "Oh, no more chemo. You're kicked off."
Did you tell them, I have a port, man?
I know. I didn't. I did tell them I had a port.
What did they say? They're like,
They didn't
man,
respond.
whatever, dude.
They
Get
didn't
back to us.
Yeah, they didn't.
I
They
feel like if
didn't
you
care.
contested that, they'd probably go
I
like,
still got a bunch of stuff going on. I still got,
Well, you're back to auditioning. Tell us about that.
I am back to auditioning.
How did that
I've
feel?
had 3 auditions.
So let's not like gloss over the stuff that's actually important.
Life came raging back. Like I finished chemo, they kicked me off.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm getting ready to drive Uber again. Like my life just came right back.
Let me set it up.
There's no transition.
Don't dump all the good radio here.
Right,
Let me
sorry.
set it up, Pat. You're getting back into life. How does that feel? We got to get deep on every podcast. How does it feel to go? Because they don't have any chill, so they kick you off disability, and now life comes rushing back. But how does that feel? How's the transition feel going from guy who was identifying as a cancer patient for 10 months to now like, whatever, walk it off, bitch, get out there, you're better?
It feels good. I could have used maybe another week or two, like transitionally, where I was still getting disability and there was not really any responsibilities that were needed from me.
But why?
For a minute. Just to try and mentally wrap my head around the last year. I literally this happened. I found out that I had cancer and I kind of put the blinders on, put my head down and just powered through.
Well, yeah.
And didn't really pay attention to all the noise and all the peripheral stuff that was going on in my life or the things that I was worried about pre-cancer that had been bugging me. I compartmentalized all that. I shoveled that shit away, put it somewhere and just powered through. Almost having cancer gave me more of a purpose than not. Now I'm back to my regular life, and I'm happy to be back into it because it keeps me busy, keeps me occupied. The days are better, but in general, I'm, it just happened, and now regular life just came right back. And
well, the thing about it is that
weird
this
transition.
happens to a lot of people who go through life-changing, traumatizing disease or illnesses or being family members. So why they call people codependents. When it can happen to family members too. It's like a thing where you get so used to one having an identity of trying to overcome this thing, but also people are telling you how badass you are. There's a lot of people. That's why the Munchausen's exist.
I get lots of support.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, oh my God, you
Tons of
hang in
attention.
there, hang in there. You're doing great. You're awesome. Like all this support and this love and stuff, and then all of a sudden that can get intoxicating. And then when you're done with it, you're kind of like, well, what am I now?
No, I know.
I'm just a regular ass dude now.
Well, and in the situation I am in, it's like, am I good? I had a friend pass away this week who had been given basically a positive prognosis like about a year ago, and then the cancer came raging back and took her life last week. And that's
A bummer.
it's a bummer, and it makes me realize that this is now a permanent thing for me. I need to be permanently aware of the fact that I am at risk for cancer and that I need to be screened and that I need to be on top of all of the things that I need to be on top of in order to make sure that I never have to go through this again.
But what health changes do you
I'm
make?
very at risk. I mean, diet, first of all, colon cancer. It's Colon Cancer Awareness Month in March also.
Okay.
The American Cancer Society is going to do a post about me on Instagram next, at the beginning of the month.
About colorectal cancer?
Yeah, basically
What?
about my story and stuff like that. But in general, it's all about gut health for the most part. It's about what you eat. It's about, what you drink, what you put into your body. So the first thing that has to happen in my life, and is already happening, is and I didn't eat terrible. You know what I mean? I ate pretty healthy before.
Yeah,
all
but
this
I
stuff.
read this article, and I almost watched this documentary the other day about the ketogenic diet, right? Eating keto.
Yeah.
And they were saying that a lot
No
of the foods
carbs,
we
no
think
sugar.
that are healthy have only been introduced to the human diet for 500 years or whatever, or
Sure.
X amount of years, whatever it is. So we weren't eating sugars and we weren't eating a lot of heavy carbs and starches. We were keeping it very much.
Sweet potatoes probably weren't
whatever.
something that we were.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I don't, but
Seriously,
a lot of
though, that's
fats,
one of them.
dairy, meats, cheeses, and our bodies just aren't used to processing.
I mean, one thing that I know is that red meat and cured meats are really, really high. They put you at a really high risk for colon cancer.
but that's
Because
but-
my
but
doctor,
red
when I
meats are
told him that I
something
ate a hamburger after surgery, a month after surgery, I told him that I ate a hamburger, and he looked like he wanted to slap me.
What,
and
one
that's how
hamburger?
he was just like, "Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Honestly, I just forgot. I just ordered a hamburger," and he was like, "Okay, don't do that again." Like, if you want a hamburger, like, once a year, eat a hamburger, but really, you should cut these things out of your life because you are at such a high risk.
I don't eat hamburgers
for this to come back.
I shamefully don't eat hamburgers. That's not my thing. The last time I had a hamburger was like, man.
You know what's killing
the only times I ever eat hamburgers is when my girlfriend wants a hamburger and I know she's only going to eat half of it.
I love hamburgers, but do you want to know what's killing like half the ozone and carbon dioxide?
Cows.
Yes.
Big old fat farty
They're
cows.
farting and they're burping. I heard the other day, though, that if you feed them seaweed, they burp and fart 90% less.
So why don't we feed them seaweed?
I mean, I don't know.
Seems like that would be a pretty good
Seems
thing
like,
to do.
yeah, let's do that.
Just
90%,
feed 'em
that's a
seaweed,
lot. Let's feed them some fucking seaweed.
Whoa, jeez.
Sorry, I'm dropping the F-bombs.
Why are you lashing
when
out
I
so much
post
today?
these, do I have to say that it's explicit?
Nah, I don't do that.
I don't
Just
do that
post
either.
it. Just post it away. Anyone
It's just a
listening
little
right
F-bomb,
now.
baby.
I mean, I try to refrain from swearing just because it's a classier thing to do, and I fancy myself a classy guy.
Yeah, you
But
would.
you can be this dirtball trash. I mean, you can play the C card.
I'm trash.
I'm only saying it because I got a port in my chest.
Because I got a port in my chest and I can say whatever I want. So
I don't care.
F it.
Cancer changed me,
Yeah.
man.
Babies, F babies.
Oh, you're offended by the F word? I'm offended by cancer.
Yeah.
That's what offends me.
F
Death.
cancer, you babies.
That is a funny hashtag. That the F cancer, like people have made that kind of trendy. Like I've seen T-shirts and I've seen.
It's
like,
actually an organization. It's like
yeah, but I feel uncomfortable with F-bomb cancer.
yeah, but it's sweet because you can turn the like ribbon sideways and it looks like FU. There's the C and the K.
But no one
right
does
at
it
the
that
end.
subtly. They all just do it.
Well, but that's
It's-
their brand.
Like I've seen people just do it, like who are very concerned about, oh, I don't want to offend kids, I don't want to curse, I'm clean, and then when they're like, and then hashtag F cancer.
I mean, it's kind of like F Hitler, dude. It's okay. It's one of those times you can get away with the F-bomb, I think.
When you have Hitler in your tag,
I mean, or cancer. If
I mean,
somebody says "fuck Hitler," are you like upset about that?
no,
Exactly.
But it's people who are upset about that aren't upset with the sentiment; they're upset with the words. The F-bomb offends them.
I mean, I see it. I like I'm kind of like cancer sucks.
I find
guy.
the premise of offensive words kind of silly in general. Like they're just
Sure.
words.
Yeah.
How are words more bad than other words? Like I know there's meaning behind them. Now, granted, I'm not going to argue this with the N-bomb. That one's got some historical meaning.
Sure, and there are certain words that are like big words, but in general, like the fun words to say are all taboo.
Yeah, because they hate ugh, they come from the gut. Like
And
F
they're like,
that.
yeah, and they're hard consonants.
A-hole.
They're like, one syllable, one or two.
They're mic drop words.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, like I don't give a that guy's a
What little
you dumb yeah a-hole. Fun. They're always like
a-hole.
you walk away like whatever a-hole, and then you drop the mic and you leave. It's
God,
kind of
that
fun.
is like the weakest exit.
Whatever a-hole.
Whatever, a-hole. Drop the mic on your foot and break your foot and hobble off.
All exits are strong if you walk away confidently. Even if you say something stupid, but you walk away really confidently, people are going to go, well, he didn't own me. Well, it doesn't matter if I think I did. Now, does it?
I think I've done that at a bar before where I was about to get a fight and it was like, I'm getting out of here because you bitches are going to kick my ass. And then just walked out.
I don't want to get my ass
Yeah, 'cause
kicked.
I don't want to get whooped right now.
Deuces,
Peace,
bitches.
bitches. And left, and they didn't really know what happened.
That's a
They
pretty
thought
good,
they had lost.
It's a pretty good strategy. You're like, wait a minute, did we win? I think he just said that we won, but I
Yeah.
can't.
But his attitude was as if he had somehow beaten us.
I'm
that's
a
right.
big old pussy, so I'm getting out of here.
Fuck you guys, you'd whoop my ass.
Yeah, there you go. You had to drop the F-bomb again.
So I'm getting out of here.
You're setting a record
pussies.
on this show.
I know, today.
What else we can talk about? Do you have any other things? Any other fun stuff?
I don't know. You know what we need to kind of like throw us through that?
What?
Is a little bit. Oh, that came in hot. I mean, what do we got? We got some time left. About 10 minutes. What else do we want to talk about?
You know what? I'm good, man. Anything I talk about will just be me venting and ranting and misplaced anger, frustrations. No one needs that. And I don't need it existing in podcast form to come back and bite me in the ass. Sometimes when you're in broadcasting, you gotta learn when not to put a microphone in front of your face.
Well, keep talking about the documentary, so let's talk about the documentary for a second.
I would say this: we're working with a radio consultant, and
You just totally blew past me trying to make a segment.
yeah,
and
no, we'll
just
get back into the
assumed that-
documentary in a second.
All right.
No, because I do have some thoughts on the documentary. No, we're working with a radio
I'm
consultant.
sure you do.
And you can disagree with people about radio programming and things. And then I've learned it's important to not have a microphone in front of your face. So then what I've learned is I think it's messed up when we go stick microphones in front of basketball players or athletes who lose a game. Like, give them a minute, man, before you ask them questions. Because when you're pissed off at something because you disagree with losing, right? And then they're like, here's a microphone, talk into it. And you're like, what do you want to know? Well, what happened to the game tonight? We sucked. Maybe we should take the strategy that you have. Oh, we bailed in that game because we're pussies, man.
Yeah.
Wow,
Now
we're
watch
outta
out, bitches. I'm out of here.
Dumbass question. Next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the documentary.
We lost because they were better. Duh.
Do we, idiot? Did
Next
you not watch the
stupid
game?
question.
I actually kind of like that. And people give coaches crap when they do that, but they're like, what happened today, coach? I don't know. Did you not watch the game? Did you not see it? We had our asses kicked. We couldn't rebound. We couldn't shoot. We couldn't score. We couldn't do all the things you need to do in a basketball game. Where do I need to start? I need to start. Everyone needs to start playing better.
It's like the equivalent of you're on a date with a girl and she stands up and storms out. And then the table next to you leans over and they're like, we've been listening the whole time. Yeah. What do you think just happened there? When did you really blow it? And it's like, fuck, I don't want to talk to you about that. Leave me alone. Why don't you mind your own business? Like, I don't know. You were watching, listening to everything that happened. When did I blow it? You tell me.
That'd be a really funny sketch. Inappropriate post-game interviews. Just go up to people who just got shot down, got shot down for
Was it when you got the spinach stuck in your teeth, or was it when you kind of were racist?
Any fail you have, a home loan, you made a run at a girl and she rejected you. Mm-hmm. Sir, where do you think it went wrong?
You accidentally revealed that you hit on her cousin on Tinder.
Right. Oh my God.
How do you know her? Oh, she's my cousin.
I've never hit on someone. I've never gotten busted for that, but one time in college, I did bring this girl, Nicole, home. She's a blonde chick. I kind of, in college, she was like the girl that was like a little bit like, she wasn't, I don't want to say she was white trash, but she was like.
Every time you kind of start preface something with what you're doing right now, and I can't even put my finger on what it is, where you're like, listen, she wasn't like, I know that it's going a direction that's going to make me uncomfortable.
No, it's not going to be going uncomfortable.
No, please continue.
Nicole was not white trash. Nicole was like public lake dock girl. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't have a private dock.
She was Deer Lake sexy.
That's right. She didn't have she still was sexy enough to be in a bikini at the lake, but she didn't have her own private access.
Sure. No, of course not. Public side. And the lake had diapers floating in it and stuff like that. But still, against her beauty, against that disgusting background, kind of makes it pop even more. You're like, man, she's got a snaggle tooth. But that's hot because imperfections are still sexy.
What I'm trying to say is she had an element of danger to her, right?
Yeah.
She had the element of like, oh, I bet this girl can play pool. Why can she play pool?
Because she has a switchblade.
Well, no, because she probably spent a lot of time at the youth center growing up. You know what I mean? Like, she had to go entertain herself after school. She's probably got a good foosball game. Sometimes
her dad and uncle used to take her to Cozy's and sit her on the end of the table.
Exactly. You're being very specific with your references. I think you need to broaden those for people who aren't from Whidbey Islands.
I'm going to have to go up there to find out. Shout out to Cozy's. Let me get some free pull tabs,
Cozy's Roadhouse. And some chicken gizzards. No, you know what I'm saying, though? There's people that just have an edge to them where, like, there's girls you meet and you're like, oh, I could drop your ass off in any neighborhood in the country. And you would make friends, be fine. You like even if someone says like, "Oh, the most dangerous place in the world," like I don't want to reference one because it sounds racist,
right?
When you're like, "Oh, the projects,"
so we'll just go opposite and be like, "We'll drop you off in Huntington Beach."
Yeah, amongst the surfers. No, that's what I'm saying. It could be the projects in the Bronx or like some weird like surf hut in Huntington where they're all a-holes too.
Sure,
those guys. But that girl's gonna be fine. Then there's girls you meet where you're like, "Oh my God, how do you make it home every day?" Like, you sweet, dumb angel. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you know, they look nice. They look like, you know, when you see a baby kitten and you're like, oh, man, you're going to get killed in the wild. And then you see, like, some, like, weird, scraggly puppy and you're like, oh, you're a veteran.
Sure.
Okay. She was like that. It's a long way to go.
It is a long way to go. I kind of forgot where we came from.
I was talking about Nicole.
But now that you circle back around, yeah. No, I get it. Your analogies are vivid.
Thank you very much. I took home Nicole. And no sex, just some making out and staying over.
Yeah.
And it also had
very big of you.
It had that kind of vibe. No, it wasn't my decision for sure. When you very big of me, I'm sure I was trying. But I am public lake guy. We're public lake kids. We never had a private dock. So when I hang out with public lake girl and we go home together, it can turn into like a joke session of making out and joking around.
Sure.
And there's just
those two public leg kids get public leg pregnant like public leg people do.
That
like
happens.
just from looking at
you
each
don't
other.
do that at home, though. You do that in the back of the Trans Am.
Exactly.
before.
Or in the water accidentally just bump uglies and it's like, whoops, oh my God, she's already 3 months along.
So we had a good time goofing around. It clearly was going nowhere. Like, we went and I dropped her off. Then, and I applaud my optimism in this situation, but her best friend was a girl that someone had been trying to hook me up with named Danielle. And Danielle was like the kind of girl that you can't drop off in those neighborhoods. Like, she's going to die. Like, she's very sweet, but she was just a smoke show.
Sure.
And
drop her off
sweet.
in Newport Beach and she'd be happy.
That's it. You got to drop her off at a Sephora and you know she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can't.
I know those smells. I know this.
So I remember I saw her and I was like, oh, dude, that's Danielle. That's the girl that everyone's trying to hook me up with. And she said she liked me. And I went over and I was like trying to hit on her. And I asked for her number and stuff. She goes like, you're really going to ask my number? You took my roommate Nicole home one night. And I was like, yeah, but me and Nicole are like cool, right?
Just
like
drop her off.
You're like, Dad. And she's like, that's so weird. And I'm like, with me and Nicole. And Nicole even said like, yo, dude, you can totally get her number. Like, I don't care. Yo, we're public lake friends. That's a private lake girl. Get her. And I remember the look on her face was mortified. But that's what happens when you mess with private dock girl. Public dock girl, like myself, public dock guy, we're like, yeah, man, so what? I kind of hooked up with that person. That's all good. They didn't mean nothing. Private dock girl's like, how did you even get into my dock?
Yeah, sure. You're going to have to tell me how we got here because I just took a couple rips off my pen and I can't remember how this segment started. We were going to do one more segment right at the end.
Oh, we're going to talk about the documentary and about being honest and about true justice in the American way.
Man, that tangent was like that.
Good, dude.
It was like a race car that had nobody driving it.
That's
just a brick on the steering.
A race car with nobody behind the wheel is how I describe everything I do in my life.
I know. That's what this podcast is. You put a brick on the gas pedal and just back up and watch it go.
With the rear view mirror torn off. Because I ain't never looking back. That's a fact.
So we're making a documentary.
Yeah, but I want you to, here's the thing I thought about this weekend.
Sure.
I want you to be super honest and raw in this documentary. I don't want you to be like, I don't want some cookie cutter, tiddlywinks and
this
rainbows.
This is a meeting between an executive producer.
It is.
And a producer director.
It is because I got to be honest. I wear two hats and it's funny because I am your brother and I love you. But like on Saturday,
it's
I
not
talk
a hat though.
No, I have to put it's two different roles, man.
It's your skin face.
It's two different roles.
Put a hat over that.
No, it's two different roles. It's on one hand, I'm your brother, and when you're hurting and when you're down and out, I'm like, yo, yeah, I got you. On the other hand, I'm like, go sit in front of a camera and tell this to the camera. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I did not know that cancer survivor like remorse was a thing. Like psychologically, for the friends that you lose, but you're feeling it though.
Yeah.
So my thing was, I don't want. Like, I saw the Oscars recap. I didn't see the Oscars. I saw the recap.
I didn't watch the Oscars. I watched the Overlord.
No, we talked about that.
Incredible.
The North Hollywood High School that won a documentary the best documentary for their film about trying to get biodegradable pads for girls in India because they don't like do. There's too much garbage and they don't. And I guess like the feminine hygiene is too expensive. Whatever. Point is that women all over the world need feminine hygiene products. Mm-hmm. So he did a documentary about trying to get the pads to women in India or girls in India.
Was that this year, the documentary?
Yeah, they won because it had a raw like honesty to it, right? And I know that one of your goals. And
did they win the feature length or the short documentary?
They won feature documentary.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure.
I should have watched.
I'm not exactly sure which one they won.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't know why you're asking me these film questions.
And I don't have the answers either, so this is just bad podcasting. I'm asking you something I know you don't know.
They won a damn award.
Yeah,
right?
they won. Okay,
they won an Oscar.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
So my point was, when I was seeing that, I was like, you know what, man? And she was saying it's just we came from an honest place of kids honestly mortified that these girls in India don't have feminine hygiene products, and they really wanted to change how things are done. And I was like, you know what's really cool is that there's an angle to your documentary mission about colorectal cancer and about getting the American Cancer Society to work to drop the screening recommendation rates. Right?
Recommended age.
Recommended age for colon cancer
because they don't really
screenings.
make any, you know,
Well, they
it's
can't-
not like a legislation
They
where
can't
it's
create
like
policy. They're
no,
not a government.
It's not
but they
there.
are the American Cancer Society. So they can
Sure.
what they say carries
What they say
weight.
carries weight.
Now, I like that idea, digging into why what the age is and why it's
So
set.
the age is 45.
Okay.
It was 50 last year, right around the time I found out I had cancer, and then they lowered it to 45.
So-
which to me is admitting there's a problem without really
Sure.
dealing with it.
Slowly evolve, but that's how healthcare evolves.
I get it. What
30
we're going to
years-
ask for in the documentary, though, is to get them to lower it to 25.
Okay, 40 years ago, that's a negotiation.
20. Exactly.
Well, no, I'm saying
we're
40,
coming in hot.
40 years ago, people were like, cigarettes are cool. They aren't bad for you at all.
Right.
And now we're like, oh my God, you're gonna die from smoking.
Well,
from lung cancer.
and also at that time, they'd be like, you know, it wasn't colon cancer they were dying from. They're like, oh, you got the old bleeding anus.
bleeding butt.
You know, the blood butt.
Blood butt.
Oh, that's no.
Oh, guy died of blood butt.
Yeah, just
Well, also-
died of the old blood butt.
Also, this is an honest question, and these are things I'd like to answer in the documentary. Is it so your colon cancer was stage 3 and it started spreading?
Yes.
But how long can your colon take the cancer and still function versus if those cells spread to another organ in your body, that's like, boom, it's a wrap. There's got to be some organs that
there are some organs that are more difficult to operate on.
sure treat. Like if you get
Sure.
like
So like colon it's all soft tissue, and there's a lot of your gastrointestinal. So there's a lot of resectioning that can happen.
Okay.
You know, you can cut things out
Sure,
and like
sure.
take it out. Whereas like if you have cancer in your bones or in your brain, or you know what I mean, like it's less operable. Then you're usually using more radiation and trying to get these things to go down. You can't necessarily
right.
operate.
Well, my
on them
point
all
is
the
more
time.
that people could have been dying from colon cancer technically, but in theory, a different cancer killed them, right? So, like, I've known
Yes.
people who've had the cancer originated in their lungs, but when they ended up dying was when that sucker hit their brain.
So colon cancer typically ends up in either the lungs or the liver. So that's what I need to be worried about, because those cancers are much harder to treat
Sure.
than colon cancer.
So, what I think about the documentary that we are undertaking, and this is why I have to wear both hats of brother / executive producer, who's got to be a little heartless and think about the content, is that I think you have a great goal and objective, which is educate, right? Goal, objective, get the American Cancer Society to start reducing that age. You want 25, we'll see what happens, right?
Sure.
But hold
25
on.
is just like...
But you're creating change. And also, it may not even happen while you're doing the documentary. This could be like a Surviving R. Kelly situation where the documentary comes out, people get crazy mad about it,
Right.
and it's in their forefront of their consciousness,
Right.
and they're like, you know what, that needs to change.
Well, the numbers are there. It's since the 1980s, the rates of colorectal cancer in people under 40 has gone up 1 to 2% per year since then. By 2030, it will be up 90%.
Sure.
I mean, it's
Well, you
the
got that-
numbers are there.
but-
So you know, like really lowering the suggested age to 25 is basically just saying, hey, at 25, if you have symptoms that look like colon cancer, get screened. Get a colonoscopy.
Okay.
Get
A lot of people
do
don't-
one of the other tests.
A lot of people
you
don't know
like-
what those symptoms are. That's a problem.
I got
What
you.
I'm saying, though, is you have the numbers in your favor. Also, so did Surviving R. Kelly. They had the numbers in their favor. And what
I
I'm
love
saying
that
is,
you're comparing this to Surviving R.
well,
Kelly.
because listen,
No, I get it.
The reason this
It's in the zeitgeist.
The reason this scumbag is back in jail now is because someone made a documentary.
Yeah.
About and they didn't say we demand
Right.
Like you're not going to go into this documentary saying we demand you lower it to 25.
It asked a very strong question.
Why shouldn't we lower it to 25?
Yes, and R. Kelly was, why should this man not be in
Why
jail?
is he free?
Why is he free right now?
So I think
But you ask, when you start with a strong question, you start with a strong thing. And we didn't come to this, because at first it was going to be much bigger. It was like about how cancer's up in the younger generations in general. And that is true-ish, but that's too big for us
It
to
also
tackle.
is
And we
less-
can't achieve... Like, I don't know, there's
Well-
nothing to achieve there other than to just be like, hey, boo-hoo, cancer sucks. It's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah. Well, that also here's the other thing. It's you have a personal connection to colorectal cancer because you have it and you had it at a young age, and you're going to be dealing with it for the rest of your life, and you want to see things change. So my thing is this: we have an objective: educate, promote colorectal cancer awareness.
Create
Objective,
change.
right? You want to get the American Cancer Society to consider reducing or lowering the recommended age.
Yes.
Now, that's probably not going to happen in the film. What could happen in the film afterwards is when a good, compelling film creates buzz and everyone's like, you know what? That is a public
Sure.
pressure creates a hell of a lot
The
of
doctor
change.
that I was gonna sue for malpractice, I'm now trying to go back to be like, hey man, listen, I think that I was wronged by you, but I believe that you were just acting within a system that needs to be changed. Will you sign a letter that says that you believe, based on the fact that you're a colorectal surgeon, that the age should be lowered from 45 to 25? Would you be willing to sign a letter? And then I will forgive you for treating me for 8 years for the wrong
for hemorrhoids.
thing.
Hemorrhoids at 24. Now, here's the other thing, though, that I really want to, and this is where I said I had to wear 2 different hats when you were like sobbing because your friend passed away from cancer and you were feeling like a lot of remorse and stuff, is that that's a component that I've never heard of. Like, I've never heard of survivor's remorse, PTSD, people feeling bad if they survive and someone else doesn't, right? So my whole point was that I want to make sure we don't miss the raw connection and emotion from people. Because educating, like, that's a thing for me who hasn't had cancer. Like, what the hell? Why would you feel bad that someone else didn't make it? But those are things I think when I say, like, hey, man, I know you're all sad and stuff, and I'm sad. You know, I'm honestly sad that your friend passed away, too. She's very sweet. Go sit in front of a camera because people need to see that raw emotion. That's what turns a documentary that's just interesting into one that, like, grips you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if you don't like hearing that or...
No. I don't not like hearing that. It's just
well, it's your life, so it's going to be a little different.
It's hard, too. There are times where it's like the emotion feels too real. And also at times, you know, I struggle with, in this process, feeling like I'm exploiting things, like situations. Like, you know, like maybe this isn't the time for that. Maybe I need to really...
Time for what?
Just to take this situation. Maybe it's time for me to internalize this situation personally and figure it out before I... to jump right onto camera. You know, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
You can't recreate emotion
when
you're going through it. You can't do it. You can't
I don't
in
think
an authentic
that's...
way. But also, here's the thing: as you process it, that helps people too. So let's say you're just documenting the pain and the frustrations and the venting and this is how I feel right now. Then later on, when you've processed it and you've spoken through it and you've like learned about it, you're able to say, "You saw me processing this pain. Now this is what I was going through from a perspective of
I get it.
Understanding."
I get it. So far, it's been hard for me to do it because I'm sensitive about, out of respect for, with my stuff when I'm just sad or something,
right.
It's just out of respect for this other person. I don't want to make this about me all of a sudden. Because that's what it is.
But here's the thing.
But I understand what you're saying. I have to process this the way that I have to process it, though. Like, I can't just jump right onto camera and start blabbering about how I feel, because all of a sudden then it's all about me, and it's not about me taking a minute to think about what was really important about them.
Okay, but hold on. Part of the you're the vessel for the viewer or the human being who hasn't gone through it to understand, right? Like it's not anyone can make a documentary about colorectal cancer and use the numbers. Big frigging deal.
Sure.
You can do it from a perspective of not only using the numbers and the data's in your favor, but also you literally went through it and people are on that ride with you.
I got it.
That's what's going to get people to change things that you want changed.
But you underestimate my ability to re-experience feelings.
I don't underestimate it. I know you're an actor.
Because listen, it only takes a second for me to go back to where it goes. I know you're always pressing me, and sometimes I do it, and sometimes I don't. Yeah. To put things on camera immediately, I don't necessarily all the time, because there are times where I feel like I need to process it first. And that's okay.
But fair. Isn't talking to a camera helping you process it?
No.
It's not like you have to air it.
It's not.
It's not
because it becomes about the documentary, not about the actual experiencing the emotion.
Well, I don't want you thinking of it in documentary terms. I want you thinking of it just as like video diary.
No, I understand. It's just, I'm just saying, for me personally, I need to experience the emotions first, and then with not every situation, but this one was one that was big. This was heavy. This one hurt a lot. Sure. And it came at a time right when I was like starting to feel better, and there's parallels in our kind of like story in that, like right when I got cancer, she got kind of relapsed, and like, you know, and then I finish and then she passes away. Like there's just a lot for me to process. So I didn't jump right onto camera. I am going to do kind of a video blog update tomorrow, but the emotion is still very real.
Okay, no, listen. I'm not saying no one is underestimating your ability to re-experience emotion. I'm just saying, don't feel like anything you put down is like, well, that's going in the movie. But
I mean, a lot of it won't, to be honest.
But really, to be honest,
like even some of this.
If you want to make an impact, you got to make it real.
No,
so
I know. I got you. And I'm making it real, but also like I also have to be a person, you know? I have to be a human and experience emotions.
On camera.
No, not always on camera.
Listen, I'm executive producer.
I understand what you're saying, and I will do the best I can, but
that doesn't sound good enough for me.
With certain emotions, I like to keep them, you know, I like to keep them to myself.
Aren't you glad we did an extra segment?
I am. I pushed for the extra segment. I was all about it. But we're getting out now because we got out on
Mystery Weekend to Cancer Confessions.
I know. Cancer documentary. You guys were just on the inside of a real meeting between producers of a project.
It's fascinating.
Because this is what it is. Yeah. Like I have to tell these executive producers sometimes there's a line in the sand. There are places that we can't go.
And I have to tell them, fuck that line in the sand.
Oh, Brian just dropped that bomb.
Well, you did it like a million times.
1,000. All right. Well, yeah, good podcast. If anybody has any thoughts, honestly, about what we should do with the documentary, please feel free to tweet at us at Pat Moote or at Moote Comedy on Twitter.
Oh, Moote Points. God
at
damn
Moote Points on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Moote Comedy on Instagram. At Pat Moote.
That's right. That's right.
I need to get over 10,000 followers so people can swipe up. So can we please tell your friends to follow me?
I'll tell them.
I'm really close. I need like 1,000 more.
Okay, I'll get on it.
Come on, Brian.
Oh, you ran out of music again.
Always with the out of music. It's fine. I feel like this is kind of our thing now. This is how we end the show.
Oh, is it just awkwardly clunk through it?
Clunk through life, baby.
Do those work?
Nancy Kerrigan, Miss Val, and Amanda Pelkey want you to join their team on an empowering 7-night cruise to Bermuda. Bring the whole family on the Aurora Games Cruise, an experience designed to empower young female athletes. The 5 iconic mentors who will inspire her journey include 2-time figure skating Olympic medalist Nancy Kerrigan, championship UCLA gymnastics coach Valerie Condos-Field, and U.S. Olympic hockey gold medalist Amanda Pelkey. Visit AuroraGamesCruise.com today to score your spot on the first ever Aurora Games Cruise.